Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. Now, Modi government is ready to do a caste census along with the population census. Absence of a timeline has raised many questions, but more than the timeline is the question of what format will the government adopt while conducting the enumeration exercise. What is the model which the government will take? How will the castes be listed? How will the subcategorization be done? And of course, what will the government do once the data is enumerated? Now, don't forget that the socio-economic caste census data of 2011 still hasn't been published, but was used by the Modi government for beneficiary schemes. So, will the government now follow the same pattern? So, joining me now on all this is the renowned professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Harish Wankhede, who joins us from the Center for Political Studies. Mr. Wankhede, thank you so much for joining on the
Thank
Federal.
you.
First question to you, sir, is that uh, what is going to be the model for enumeration? Now, everybody has accepted the fact that, okay, Modi government has agreed to go in for a caste census. But do you think that the model for conducting the caste census is ready? How do they do the subcategorization? How do they enumerate? Now, for example, we had only seen columns of SC, ST, OBCs, and so those kind of columns we had seen. Now, what will the government do? What should be the format, according to you?
Right. Of course, the larger demand was to enumerate the OBCs. That was the bigger demand. Why? Because for other communities there is already a category available within the census, and therefore to how to enumerate OBCs, I believe that there is already multiple multiple survey reports available with multiple governments for that matter. If you examine the Bihar caste survey report, we already have got the how the Bihar government has done that. Secondly, in Karnataka also that exercise has taken place. Telangana is again willing to do the similar kind of exercise. So we already have some kind of available resources, available techniques or methods to deal with this particular issue. Further, India has a very long tradition of caste-based commissions that dealt with this particular issue for a very long time, from Kaka Kalilkar to Mandal Commission to Gopal Singh to Ranganath Mishra, various commission reports, including Rohini Commission report. So we already have a very strong method or approach to deal with the OBC enumeration, and probably for the caste census it will not be tougher. Why? Because you need to just add one more column within the larger caste census, making some kind of a mode identification whether those castes can be identified as EBCs, for that matter, OBCs and EBCs. These are new categorization that come up in Bihar caste census. So that little care one has to take when we are engaging with very huge and very diverse population. The North Indian understanding of the other backward caste is very distinct from the South Indian version of the OBCs. And therefore, probably there will be some regional deviations vis-a-vis the OBC enumeration. But as I said, that there are already methods and approaches available with different state governments, and this is a kind of a normal exercise within the academic discourse also. That how to enumerate a sociological order, how to understand the larger social stratification. So we already have multiple other models available on that.
Right. No, surely that there are various models already which Karnataka has adopted. One is Telangana, Bihar is also there. But
Right.
can there be some kind of a convergence between the socio-economic caste census, which was done in 2011,
Right.
and it was used by the Modi government, and to peddle their welfare schemes, all the
Right.
Labharthi schemes which they did. Now,
Right.
what are we going to see now? According to that socio-economic caste census, there were multiple castes which came out. Now, are we going to see a plethora of those castes being listed, or will it just be a simple addition of 2 or 3 columns more?
I
Because
think
everybody.
because the census is, of course, a very, very huge exercise. And probably those multiple indicators on caste and economic sources will be difficult to manage within a single census. And therefore, probably the enumerators or those who are designing the caste census, they need to do a little bit of hard work or homework to examine that whether they wanted to examine each and every caste within the OBCs, whereby because there are around 6,000 odd castes within the OBCs. And
No, but
therefore,
can I ask you a very basic question before you elaborate further? when you say that the government is going to conduct a caste census, now what does that caste census means? Now there are various castes. I mean, in the Brahmins also you have so many subcastes. In the
Right.
Yadavs you have so many subcastes. There is a
Right.
particular caste which will have many multiples of the same caste in the various states. So how
Right.
is the government really going to adopt,
Right.
the enlistment procedure?
So the example is, of course, the 1931 caste census, which the British government did, and in which the OBCs were the first time was enumerated. I think the similar model can be adopted, where the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe and the general population is very much demarked, and those who are not part of these three major categories can be counted as OBCs. And of course, the every household can be asked whether you belong to SC, ST, or the general categories. If that is not there, then it will be a part of the OBC list, and the caste will be asked that within the OBC which caste you belong to. So this is kind of a nominal general approach that has adopted within the 1931 caste census. And as I said, that in other surveys also this similar kind of method was adopted. So I don't think that there will be much more difficulty when it comes to the OBCs. As I said, that the difficulty will only be with the diversity. The OBC is such a diverse and huge population, and therefore to enumerate everything means, like for that matter,
But
Yadavs
when
in
you say that, when you say that there'll be difficulty with the diversity and especially with the OBCs,
right,
will that not, the same difficulty, will it not be for other castes as well? Say, for example, Yadavs or Brahmins or for the
right,
Vaishyas,
right.
because there is diversity in every caste. So
Right.
how will
But
the
as I
government
said that
account?
there are, yeah, as I said that there are already available methods available to examine that and to make sense of that. As I said, Mandal Commission report already enumerated around 4,000 plus OBC castes, and including the Muslims for that matter. So it is not that we have not done this exercise earlier. Earlier exercise we can learn from the earlier exercises, and it will be kind of a similar exercise to deal with the caste census. The only difficulty that we are facing, that because it's a national survey, it's a caste census is a huge exercise with each and every household is enumerated. In other surveys it's a limited number, it's a smaller exercise, but caste census is a huge and very kind of daunting exercise, and therefore probably that confusion is there. Like for that matter, the Rajasthan Yadavs and Haryana Yadavs are distinct from Bihar and UP Yadav. So whether
Yes.
they wish to count themselves into the OBC category, or they wanted to enumerate themselves as a general population, that question will always be there. And probably the enumerators, those who are doing that exercise, it will be their responsibility to generalize at the end. And it, of course, as I said, it's a complex exercise, but we have done it for a very long time in India, and therefore I don't think there will be much hassles to deal with the same.
But the very fact that the caste census will be done along with the population census.
Right.
Now, I'll talk about the timings a little later, but does it make the procedure more complicated? Because there hasn't been a caste census for many years.
Right.
And of course, we've also not had the decadal census, which is supposed to be done every 10 years. So
Right.
now, caste census added to the population census, does it make the exercise more complicated?
I will not. I will not. I will suggest that it will not be a complicated issue. Why? Because as I said, to enumerate the OBCs, you just need to add 2 or 3 more columns. The other columns are already there. The scheduled caste, the scheduled tribe, the general category columns are already there. And we are of course moving to each and every household. So those columns we need to pick up. And of course, as I said, that to generalize those, that diversity will be difficult, but to conduct that kind of exercise where you need to count the OBCs, I don't think there will be much trouble. Why? Because as I said, that it is just a filling of the columns.
Right. But whoever is designing the census, I mean, the caste census and the population census this time, will it be, should it be, I mean, according to you, because we do not know what design the government is going to adopt, but
Right.
whenever they do this exercise, according to you, what do you think, that there should be one form or there'll be two separate forms? One will be for the caste census, one will be for the population census. How should it be? I mean, what is the standard model for adopting if there are two
Right.
censuses being done
So
simultaneously?
if you've seen the earlier format, for that matter 2011 format, or before that any other caste census format, you will not find that there are two different models to deal with the caste. As I said, that the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and general category population is already been enumerated. They're already been counted, and therefore there is no special mentioning that the scheduled caste population will be counted through another model. And probably the similar exercise can be done for the OBCs also. And therefore there is no requirement to have another caste census apart from having a census for the population. I think within the same format we can count scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and the OBCs.
But now, what do you feel? I mean, does it look like a mere announcement to you, Mr. Wankhede, that they've done it without any proper homework, or do you think that the government must be having few things in mind because they took this decision in the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs?
Right. No, the deliberation on this is a long deliberation. As I said, probably from the Kaka Kalelkar Commission early in late 70s, you can examine this, that there were deliberation on this, that India needs an OBC census. Then Mandal Commission also promoted the same line. And after that, multiple socialist parties in Bihar and UP were basically arguing for this particular process. And as I said, that the Bihar and Karnataka already did a huge survey on the same exercise. And therefore their deliberation is not new. Probably for the BJP it's a very new ball game, but for the other political parties, for that matter Congress or the socialist parties in some states, they have already done a lot of exercise on this. And if you see the Bihar caste survey, this is a huge exercise. They took almost 2.5 years to finish that, and then they published the document, and there was a huge deliberation already on that. So OBC enumeration might be new for the BJP, but for other political parties, how to deal with it, what should be the larger mandate for this particular concern, or what will get out of it. I think that deliberation has taken place in multiple forums, at the commission level first, and of course at the larger political platform level second. So that deliberation is not new for India, I believe.
But do you think that this was an announcement which was done in a jiffy, or many times it said that, the government makes the announcement, and of course the timeline also hasn't been spelt out. So do you think that it will take a long while before this population census and the caste census is done? Because now there is a feeling that population census, which was supposed to be done in 2020, and 2019 cabinet meeting, there was a cabinet meeting in which they decided, they allocated a budget to it, but till now the population census has not been done. So on the pretext of the caste census now, will they delay the population census further?
Right. As I said, that it will all depends upon the government's will, the political will to conduct such huge exercise. The institutions are ready. Probably, for that matter, after independence, never it happened that we have not conducted a caste survey. Every 10 years we conduct the caste survey. It is only that the government failed last time to publish the records. But it is not that the institutions, particularly the census report commissions, they are quite capable, and they have done quite a wonderful job all these years. And therefore I don't think that from it will be a lack of institutional arrangement that will be responsible for the delay. It will be the government's political and the will of the government that will one need to question, that whether the government is willing to conduct such kind of an exercise or not. If, as I said, you already mentioned, that the government has announced that there will be caste survey, but they have not given any date to conduct that particular survey, and therefore probably it will be dependent upon the government's will, their own ambition and objective, that what they exactly wanted to do on it. But I believe that the Indian institutions particularly, they are quite capable to conduct such a survey.
Congress has offered that, if the government wants, they can use the Telangana model. There is a Karnataka model. There is a Bihar model. So do you think that the government will take into consideration all these models? They will take a look at what the various commissions have said, and then probably they will come out with whatever design or the format they want to?
Absolutely. Probably there is a difference between the Congress and the BJP. As I said, that for the Congress, it's an old rhetoric, almost a 1 decade old rhetoric for demand of the caste census. and in their political manifesto they are consistently deliberating on it. They have made this as a political issue for a very long now. So for Congress, it was a kind of a challenge to the BJP, that the way BJP was conversing that it is now an OBC party and they have got huge support from the marginalized social groups, and it has almost become what they call a subaltern Hindutva party. That rhetoric was there within the BJP, and therefore to counter that particular issue, Congress created this uproar that why don't you count and showcase what are the conditions of the marginalized social groups in India. And therefore BJP will have a very different take on this. They will not
Do you
understand.
think that no? But do you think that more than the Congress, it is BJP which will be at an advantageous position because of this announcement?
Yes, today's time, I think BJP has taken up that particular call to somewhere diffuse or to challenge the Congress's rhetoric on caste census. And it has come abruptly. You are right on that, that it has come very abruptly in today's time when there was multiple other issues, including the Pahalgam attack. And in such kind of a context, coming up with this particular problem was very, very abrupt for the BJP. But I believe that there are reasons for that. Probably the Bihar election is one of the major concern for the BJP because there are ground reports which are suggesting that there is a huge shift among the ABCs towards the opposition, mainly the Congress and the RJD, and probably to counter that narrative that
But
BJP is.
Mr. Wankhede, when you talk about the Bihar political landscape, there are already the regional parties which have championed the cause of the caste census, like
Absolutely.
RJD, JDU, and several other parties. So, don't you think that they will be more, they will come across as more credible alternatives rather than BJP, which has all of a sudden come up with a decision for conducting a
Right.
caste census?
Right, but BJP are also a very formidable alliance there, Nitish Kumar, and he will be, of course, he has already benefited from the Bihar caste survey earlier, and therefore probably that will be the larger agenda, that they are not very, they do not have a challenging attitude toward the caste census, and they
Right.
wanted to showcase that they are pro OBCs, mainly pro EBCs, and therefore to examine what are the conditions of the EBCs, this particular caste census can be utilized, which is this is what Nitish Kumar has done in Bihar. And therefore probably it is not only about Bihar, but they also wanted to examine how there is some kind of a shifting ground in Uttar Pradesh, in Karnataka for that matter, and these are the certain state where BJP is not comfortable on the caste question, and by somewhere reposing their faith that caste census will come up with very dynamic data about socio-economic indicators for the EBCs and the OBCs, and that probably help BJP to promote new kind of affirmative actions or new kind of reservation policies, and BJP is promising that, I believe. And through that, they can defend their position that they are a mass-based party, mainly supporters of the OBCs. And therefore, it is a kind of a deliberate attempt by the BJP that it is not just because Congress is pressurizing them and that's why they are doing, but it is basically for to retain their control or their domination on a very huge
No,
population
so,
that supported the BJP
fine.
for a very, very long time.
No, but so would you say that this is a smart move by the BJP to co-opt the Mandal and the Kamandal politics both?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think BJP is a sharp enough to understand this particular trend. That as I said, that there is a shifting ground for the BJP in North Indian states, mainly UP, Bihar, and of course some part of South India for that matter, Karnataka. So they already examined it, and probably they understood that probably this issue of caste census will help them to regain those lost ground, and can come up with this idea that BJP is in for the promotion of the OBC welfare, and with the kind of data that the caste census will generate, out of that they will come up with new policy framework for their welfare. So it is a kind of a very well counted and deliberated attempt by the BJP, and it is not just a kind of a fluke by the BJP to counter the Congress.
One last question, Mr. Wankhede, and then I'll wind up this interview. That there has been a constant worry that the SEC data of 2011 wasn't published, and there are time and again there are accusations that if the government sits on the data, which whatever exercise or the survey they do, and very smartly BJP use that data for the Labharthi schemes and for their own government schemes. So. Can this not be a probability that the data probably will not be published again? They will conduct a caste census exercise. They will again sit over that data and probably use it for their own political purposes.
Absolutely, absolutely. That fear is already there, and as I said, that this particular rhetoric that the data census, the census will be utilized to formulate new policy framework for the marginalized social groups. I think there is some kind of a doubt in that kind of rhetoric. Why? Because to promote welfare for any marginalized community, you don't need a caste census. You don't need even that kind of a mega surveys that many state government has done. Like for that matter, when BJP announced the policy for the EBCs, there was no survey available to promote that particular policy. There was no caste census, or there was no report available to support that kind of a policy. And therefore, for any welfare policy, what is required more than a data is the political will of the government.
Right. Oh, I think he's got disconnected, but I was just ending the show. Thank you so much, Harish Wankhede, I was just ending the show. Thank you so much for joining. And immediately after this on the Federal Group, we're going live on the Federal Hindi, that is Federal Desh. Thank you so much, Mr. Wankhede, once
Thank
again.
you. Thank you. Thank you.